Have you ever watched a person enter a room and without uttering a single word bend the atmosphere to their will? Their presence alone seems to rewrite the rules. Silent, calculating, an invisible hand guiding the chessboard of human interaction. It's as if they move through life with a map the rest of us can't see, navigating power with the precision of a surgeon and the ruthlessness of a storm. This is not magic. This is Machiavelli's ruthless psychology for power, an unflinching understanding of control, fear, and the hidden levers that move the world. Machiavelli's name has echoed through centuries, whispered in the halls of empires and the shadows of boardrooms, often misunderstood as mere cynicism when it is in truth something far more profound. A mirror held up to the raw mechanics of influence. His philosophy does not ask whether power should be pursued a certain way. It reveals how power is seized and kept, stripping away the comforting illusions of fairness to expose the vertebrae of dominance beneath. To engage with his work is to step into a realm where morality is a currency, not a commandment, where the game is played not as we wish it to be, but as it is. Imagine standing at the edge of an abyss, peering into the dark waters of human nature. Most turn away, clinging to the light of idealism. But Machiavelli dares you to look deeper, to see the reflection staring back, not of monsters, but of primal truths. The lion and the fox, force and cunning, the delicate balance of love and fear, these are not just strategies. They are the invisible currents beneath every social hierarchy, every unspoken hierarchy at a dinner table, every silent victor in a corporate coup. This is not merely about politics or war. It is about the unspoken rules that govern every interaction where power is at stake, whether in a kingdom or a conversation. To dismiss Machiavelli as cruel is to miss the point entirely. He is a cartographer of reality, mapping the terrain of control so that you too can navigate it, not as a pawn, but as a player. The question is not whether his principles exist in the world around you. The question is, do you have the courage to see them? At the heart of Machiavelli's ruthless psychology lies a fundamental truth. Power is not given, it is taken. This is not a philosophy for the faint of heart, nor is it a manifesto for chaos. It is a cold, clear-eyed study of how influence truly operates when stripped of pretenses. The first pillar of his thought is the separation of morality from efficacy. Where most philosophies bind action to virtue, Machiavelli unshackles them, revealing a world where success is measured not by righteousness but by results. To him, a ruler, or any wielder of power, must be willing to do what is necessary, not what is noble. This is the essence of realpolitik, the art of navigating the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. Another core theme is the duality of force and deception, embodied in his famous allegory of the lion and the fox. The lion relies on brute strength, the fox on cunning, but true mastery demands both. A leader who is only fierce will be outmaneuvered. One who is only sly will be crushed when the moment calls for violence. Machiavelli's psychology teaches that power is a dance between these two forces, a constant calibration of when to strike and when to slither, when to declare war and when to whisper lies. This is not betrayal for its own sake, but strategy, an understanding that words and weapons are tools, and the wise choose the right one for the task. Perhaps the most unsettling of his concepts is the idea that it is better to be feared than loved, if one cannot be both. Love is fickle, dependent on the goodwill of others, while fear is a chain of the mind, binding people even in absence. This is not an endorsement of cruelty for cruelty's sake, but a recognition of human nature, that men will sooner betray affection than defy terror. Yet Machiavelli warns that fear must never curdle into hatred, for hatred inspires rebellion. The balance is delicate. A ruler must be severe enough to command obedience, but never so ruthless as to unite his enemies against him. Underlying all of this is the principle of adaptability, the refusal to be bound by dogma or consistency. Machiavelli's ideal leader is a shapeshifter, altering tactics to suit the moment, wearing masks as needed. Loyalty, promises, even ethics are secondary to survival and supremacy. To the uninitiated, this seems monstrous. To the student of power, it is simply the rules of the game laid bare. The world does not reward the good, it rewards the effective. And effectiveness in Machiavelli's eyes demands a mind unclouded by illusions. Consider the fable of the scorpion and the frog, that timeless parable where the scorpion, despite knowing the consequences, stings the frog mid-river and drowns them both. "It is my nature," the scorpion explains. Machiavelli would nod in grim recognition, not at the futility, but at the raw honesty of the act. This is the unvarnished truth of his philosophy. Power obeys the logic of nature, not the fantasies of men. The scorpion does not apologize for its venom any more than a hurricane apologizes for its destruction. In Machiavelli's world, those who pretend otherwise, who cling to the hope that virtue alone will protect them, are like the frog, doomed by their own naivety. There is another story, older still. The tale of the two wolves within every person, one benevolent, one ruthless, locked in eternal struggle. Most are taught that the good wolf must win, that kindness and fairness will ultimately prevail. But Machiavelli whispers the uncomfortable secret: the victorious wolf is simply the one you feed. History does not remember the meek who played by the rules. It remembers those who understood when to bare their teeth. This is not an argument for mindless brutality, but for the strategic application of force. The wolf that survives is the one that knows when to snarl and when to lick its master's hand, when to hunt and when to howl in chorus with the pack. Then there is the chessboard, that silent battlefield where every piece has its role, its strengths, its sacrifices. The pawn believes it advances through merit. The king knows it advances because he allows it. Machiavelli's genius was in recognizing that power is never truly egalitarian. It is always hierarchical, always flowing downward from those who grasp its mechanics. The player who sentimentalizes their pieces loses to the one who sacrifices a rook to save the queen. This is the deeper narrative. Morality is a language we speak to others, but power is the grammar that structures reality itself. The master player does not hate the game. They study it, anticipating moves 3 turns ahead while their opponent still worries about the next square. These stories coalesce into a single truth. Power is not about what should be, but what is. The river does not stop for the drowning. The wolf does not apologize for its hunger. The chessboard does not care which pieces believe themselves righteous. To navigate this world, one must first see it clearly, to recognize that the rules written in ink are not the ones that govern the blood and bone of human conflict. Machiavelli's gift was this very clarity, the ability to strip away the comforting fictions and reveal the engine of domination beneath. The true test of Machiavelli's ruthless psychology lies not in theoretical musings, but in the crucible of daily life, where power dynamics shape careers, relationships, and even fleeting social encounters. Consider the modern workplace, that polished arena of veiled competition. Here, Machiavelli's principles manifest in the colleague who volunteers for high-visibility projects while quietly ensuring rivals are assigned impossible tasks, or the executive who cultivates an aura of unapproachable competence, making dissent seem unthinkable. These are not villains from some corporate melodrama, but practitioners of an ancient art, those who understand that organizational charts mean less than the unwritten hierarchies of influence. They grasp that perception often outweighs reality, that appearing strong can be as valuable as being strong, and that sometimes one must let others claim credit for small victories while positioning oneself for the decisive ones. Beyond the office, these dynamics pulse through every social sphere. The friend who always seems to steer group decisions without overtly demanding, the romantic partner who shapes the relationship through calculated displays of affection or indifference, these are modern applications of the lion and fox dichotomy. Machiavelli would recognize these subtle plays for what they are, not manipulation in the petty sense, but the natural exercise of human leverage. Even in parenting, the balance between fear and love plays out, as children test boundaries and learn that consequences are not abstract concepts but immediate realities. The parent who masters this balance, who can be both nurturer and enforcer, raises children who respect authority without resenting it. Yet this knowledge carries a warning. Power is a solvent that can corrode the vessel holding it. The executive who leans too heavily on fear may find productivity collapsing in silent rebellion. The friend who constantly maneuvers may wake one day to find no genuine connections left. Machiavelli's most overlooked lesson is that ruthlessness without restraint is ultimately self-defeating, that the true master knows when to sheath the blade. This is the razor's edge of practical power, deploying it with enough subtlety that others never feel the strings, while maintaining enough humanity to avoid becoming a monster of one's own making. The transformational call of Machiavelli's philosophy is not to become ruthless, but to become awake, to recognize the power games constantly unfolding around you, and to choose consciously when and how to engage. It asks, will you remain the frog, trusting the river's current? Or will you learn to swim with deliberate, strategic strokes? This is not about embracing amorality, but about developing the discernment to know when others are playing by hidden rules, and the wisdom to decide which battles are worth your cunning. The ultimate power lies in this very choice, to see the game clearly, and then decide, with open eyes, how much of yourself you're willing to stake in its playing. The world belongs to those who understand it most clearly. Machiavelli's gift was the map. The journey remains yours to take.